Going everybody, hope you guys are having a good one, even though 9 times out of 10. Yeah, I know that's not the case, but hey, you gotta keep on grinding, you gotta keep on striving, you gotta keep on living. Today, more or less an update on how everything's going, and going through a few major points that I learned throughout this week. But yeah, the sales game, man. Last week we got our first official close from a setting role, and that was exciting. I had kind of a rough day at the regular job on base, and I was just not in the mood at all, and I just couldn't be bothered. And I got a message from one of my closers, and he was like, "Good stuff, man. Congratulations." And I was like, "Oh, no way." So it felt good because one of the quarterly missions that we had, one of the quarterly goals, was to close one client from a setting role, and I can gladly check that off now to more or less show that, look, this is possible. This is possible for somebody in my situation as a military, active duty personnel. This is possible to do on the outside and to do consistently and to keep on doing. And it's something that's achievable. A lot of the people in the military, a lot of times, especially, everyone feels like they can't do what they originally set out to do or their original passion until they get out. And that's far from the truth. I've known people that got into real estate and they're actual real estate agents, and they're still in active duty service, which is crazy. It's crazy to think about that, but it goes to show, like, when you want to do something, you'll find ways to make it happen. And that kind of comes into what today's topic is, in regards into consistency. And I realized that's something that it's a make or break. It really is. It's a make or break on whether you're going to do what you set out to do or not. And a lot of the times we as airmen or as just people in general, you don't even have to be in the military, but we start something so, head on, and we give it our all. First month we are absolutely rolling. We're trying to do as much as possible. But for some reason we fall off. We go back to our old habits. We go back to what made us comfortable. We go back to all those little tiny bad habits, and then you go back to your environment. You go back to everything that made you who you were prior to what you want to do, and that really comes to the result of trying to be consistent, trying to make it happen. And I realized that, right? So to give you an example, and this kind of ties into another part that we're going to talk about. I started sales in the beginning of the year. And I absolutely wanted to do so much. And I was doing it while I was, on TDY, because I believed I could, and I was trying so hard to make it happen. And just going one day after another. And ultimately I burned out. And ultimately I had no sort of support system, or no sort of I felt like I didn't have really an environment around me that would encourage it. And so ultimately that led me to my demise, and that led me to giving up. And it was only until then one of my best friends, Benjamin, he hit me up, man, and he's like, "Hey, are you still doing it?" I was like, "Oh man, I'm gonna be honest with you, I gave up." And he was like, "You're doing exactly what I did. I gave up the first time, and then now I gave it a try again." And it was, it's something that you just can't give up on. If it's something that you really want to do, you got to do it for a good amount of months. You got to do it for a good year before expecting anything out of it. And that's what I didn't realize, And this kind of comes up to the power of having a group around you that is doing exactly what you want to do. So with that being said, as you guys know, I'm a part of the Affinity Sales Training Group, and that has been an absolutely pivotal moment in regards to just being consistent, in regards to actually believing that I can do something, in regards to everything, all aspects in life. And I was originally with the group, and then I left, and that's part of the reason why I ended up giving up. But I couldn't tell you how important being a part of a group that is doing the same thing that you're doing, and doing it in strides, is absolutely beneficial. There's so many times that I would just not be in the best mindset. I would have a terrible day and I'm supposed to make calls. I would have, just something coming up, And the group that I'm in, when I see the constant wins that come out of that group and the constant people that are absolutely striving and killing it and doing amazing things, it makes me realize, I'm like, dude, you gotta pick up your act, you know? You gotta keep on going, because if they're doing it, what makes you think that you can't do it? Now, don't compare yourself. That's a bad thing. Comparison is the thief of joy. But when you have a group around you and you're also able to tell that group, like, hey, it's been a type of day, you know, that's what you need, you know. One of our mentors, he said this, and he started up the actual affinity sales group with 3 people, and they said, you know, from their experience somewhere else that they learned this thing, they're like, you know, you could start something by yourself and do it and absolutely grind and probably do great. But what's the fun in that when you can have a group of guys that you really trust and you want to see grind up together and build up? And the more people you have in your circle, not the more people, the more quality people you have in your circle, the better. And he was like, what's the fun in just doing it by yourself? What's the fun in just, you know, trying to make it on your own? Because you're going to have days where you're absolutely terrible. You're going to have days where you feel like it's just not working. And then the boys that are around you that are willing to pick you up and see you win, they're not going to stand for that. You know, they're going to be like, all right, you know, take your L, or you tripped but you didn't fall, but get your ass up. You know, we got work to do. So that's the whole point of the consistency that ties back, is if you can find a group that's looking for that, or if you can find some people around you that are willing to be that sort of latch for you and live by example from, that's how you're able to stay consistent. You know, you can preach, you can do all this, you can, you know, make everything seem, you know, you have a whole list of stuff you got to do, you can keep it consistent, and there's going to be a day where you're just not going to have a good day. And either you're going to have a strong mindset and be able to be like, this is just a bad day, let's keep it going. Or you're not even in the strong mindset, and now you're just like, man, what's even the point? And now you tie back to your old habits, right? You tie it back into the old habits. And we're going to sort of switch gears in regards to this conversation. We're going to come back to it, but we're going to be talking about when it comes to big goals. And I kind of have it written down. But when it comes to having big goals or big mindsets or big dreams or something crazy that you don't even think is possible, but it's scary, I learned this when I did my marathon. If you can ask this simple question, it should be able to completely change the trajectory of what you think is possible. How cool would it be if we did ABC? How cool would it be if I ran a marathon out in 100-degree weather? Right? That's scary. That's huge. That's big. Now, what I need you to do, chop it down into smaller goals, right? And everybody says that, right? But you got to program your mind to believe it. So instead of saying, how cool would it be if I can run a marathon in 100-degree weather? You got to think, how cool would it be if I can run 1 mile in 100-degree weather? How cool would it be if I can run 5 miles in 100-degree weather? How cool could it be if I ran 10? And when you start making these sort of small goals and you start saying it in that regards, not only does your habits change because you're trying to reach that, your lifestyle changes. Because instead of thinking of daunting things as scary, you're thinking of it as, this is dope. This is cool. Like, I'm actually trying to do this. Like, wow, this is exciting. That is the whole point. That is the whole point of changing that dynamic, that perspective. And that's something that I've used, and it's been incredible, because when I did the marathon out in Kuwait, I genuinely was terrified. When I was back in the UK and I was thinking about doing it, I absolutely was scared shitless. I was like, I could get, a heat stroke. I could probably, end up getting super, I could probably get super dehydrated, and then muscle fatigue, and then muscle failure. And to give you an example, I was out in the Grand Canyon and I had muscle failure. And by muscle failure, my legs, I literally could not stand up. That's how bad my legs were. And it was sort of that trauma. And so in my mind, I was sort of thinking the same thing. I was like, oh my God, this is like, I've ran in, super cold weather, but this is insane. And so when I started thinking, how cool would it be if we ran a half marathon at least? And I was like, I ran the half marathon, and I was like, no way, like this is possible, you know? And it's all that self-talk. It's all that, you know, pretending like you are with somebody at all times, and that is yourself, and you're talking to them and you're telling them like, hey man, great day today, good run, you did exactly what you're supposed to do, let's have a good time, let's celebrate, let's chill out, and then get after it the next day. Or if you had a bad day, you're talking to yourself that's right next to you, like your imaginary self, and you're like, look man, you had a bad day, it's all good, you know, but wake up, this is embarrassing, like you need to absolutely get back after it. Talking to yourself, I wouldn't recommend it, but it's still great. You know, I do that all the time. But I could tie this all around consistency. It really is true. You know, and it comes down to the power of having your group around you, which that is absolutely pivotal. And I'm setting up a Discord channel right now, and I already have it sort of organized. And if you're interested in joining, but this is more or less for people that absolutely want accountability partners. We are not looking for anybody to waste time. We're not looking for anybody to not show up to the Sunday meetings that we have. But basically, those meetings are more or less for if you are trying to have a goal set in mind, and, you know, it's more or less like we call each other up and we're basically like, all right, what's your goals? What was your weekly goals? Did you reach those goals? How can we help you reach those goals? What is something that's a bottleneck that you might not see, but we can see and we can help you out with? Stuff like that. So it'll be every Sunday, and it's a whole Discord channel. And you can also stream through the channels, and they have different goal sets for quarterly goals, monthly goals, weekly goals, and even just a bunch of different stuff. But if you want to join that, and if you're interested in joining that, send me a DM on Instagram, or send me an email, or send me, you know, whatever contact I have, and let's talk. But aside from that, if you are also interested in the sales thing, that's another link that I also have down below. And it's, you know, it's something that it has changed my life, and I'm just being honest with you. Like, I'm not trying to, you know, promote it to where it's like, join it. No, this is the one group that I've seen from a long time where I'm like, wow, they actually care. But we're at 14 minutes. I'm not sure how long it's gonna be. So aside from that, I hope you guys see, I already watched it. Aside from that, I hope you guys have a good rest of your day. And from the top of the world where boundaries still don't exist to the bottom of the depths where life still lives, do you dare to dream? As a matter of fact, do you dare to take the next step? I'll see y'all later.